In this segment, we'll talk about thesis deposit steps. As you can see on the screen here, we do have a process involved with the deposit of your thesis. Number one, please make sure that you schedule your appointment. We'll talk about how you can go about doing that in a subsequent video. Two, make sure you complete paper forms. At this time, Purdue still uses paper forms, but we expect to go fully electronic, certainly no later than spring 2015. 3, submit your electronic thesis deposit. Again, we will cover this in greater detail. 4, check the email address you gave ProQuest when you submitted your thesis and set up your account. Make sure that the email address that you provide as your contact is one that you frequently check. 5, attend your final deposit appointment. We have a number of different options involved with this. Again, that we'll discuss in greater detail, but you can go in person, you can have a proxy appointment, or you can even have a long distance appointment depending on your needs. And then finally, make sure that you pay the thesis deposit fee, which was effective August 2013. You can either do this online or in person at the bursar's office. Electronic thesis deposit. This is how you will actually submit your thesis. This is a mandatory process. All candidates will submit electronically. As part of this process, please make sure that your graduate school Form 9, that is your thesis acceptance form, make sure it's signed by all committee members and your department head before the ETD can be submitted. Please do not post-date your forms. In other words, in some cases, we have candidates sometimes post-dating their forms weeks in advance. The reason that we do not want you to post-date your form is because we have no guarantee that your head of grad program will actually sign it on the date that you indicate. The ETD link, the one in other words that you'll use as part of your submission process, is shown on the screen. Definitely be careful when creating your ProQuest account. Some of their extra services require payment. If you do request these and decide that you no longer want them, you will need our assistance to request refunds, and this process could take up to several weeks to get your money back particularly. Also, please do not send us partially complete submissions. If you do send us a submission, it must be finalized and fully approved by your department. That way we can give you a quick and hopefully easy review. As far as submitting your thesis to us, please submit it at least 24 hours before your scheduled appointment. We do need enough time in order to look at it and to make sure that it meets our formatting requirements. In turn, it also gives you enough time to make any necessary changes. Please also note that during the thesis deposit deadline weeks, please try to get your thesis in at least 48 hours before your scheduled appointment. The reason for this is, of course, many other candidates are also trying to submit their thesis at the same time, and we have very limited staff. So we need as much time as possible to review your submission and hopefully approve it, or otherwise request revisions and have you in turn get those revisions back to us. Another thing to remember as part of this process is that if you have an appointment on a Monday, we do need you to submit your thesis no later than the previous Friday. The obvious reason being is that that's over a weekend and we do need enough time to look at it. Further note, failure to submit in a timely manner may seriously affect your graduation plans. For that reason, we do ask that you submit everything in a timely fashion. If you do have any questions about that, or if you're running into problems, please let us know as soon as possible so we can assist you. Some other things to think about as part of electronic thesis deposit. PDF conversion. This is an area that does cause a lot of problems for candidates, despite our best efforts to help them out. Be sure to use the letter setting. In other words, avoid what's called A4, which is for European metric size paper. We need letter because that is set up for 8.5 by 11 American size paper. Further, as part of a PDF conversion, check everything, check your entire document after you convert. The reason for this is, as you may have already discovered, Sometimes equations don't come out, or page numbers or figures or tables also disappear. So be sure to thoroughly check your document after you convert and before you submit it to us for review. ProQuest Information and Learning, your nominal publisher, does recommend the use of Adobe Acrobat Pro. But if you don't have it available either on a campus machine or on your personal machine, you can find a free 30-day trial version on the Adobe website, and the link to that is shown on the screen. Again, be careful when inserting image files into your document. If you're not careful, they may disappear or not come out correctly during the PDF conversion process. If we do find something like that, we will ask you to fix it. Please note that we are not responsible for content. So in many cases, we have no way of knowing if there's an error, for example, in an equation or not. If we do see it, we will try to let you know about it. But again, we are not responsible for it. It is up to you to make sure that your equations, tables, figures, and so on are correct. Another thing you may want to keep in mind is try to embed your Word text to ensure correct appearance of text equations, and also to avoid rejection by the ETD submission website. If you have questions about embedding, you can see our Microsoft Word template guide, and that provides embedding instructions. Again, use of Adobe Acrobat is recommended by ProQuest Information and Learning, but if you prefer to use some other PDF conversion tool, then we do provide a list of alternate PDF conversion software on our site. Again, though, we are not responsible for the results. ETD reviews. How does the process work? Well, when you do submit your thesis to us through the website, we will review it as soon as possible and then send you an email to the email account that you used when you registered with ProQuest to set up your account. The email will either say you are approved or it will ask for corrections. These correction requests will come either as typed requests, in other words, we'll just type out what you need to fix, or if there's quite a few things, we may even just scan the specific pages that need correction along with our comments and then send them to you as attachments. If we do ask for corrections, make all the changes, carefully check your document, and then resubmit. Then check your email again, and so on and so forth. The process repeats until your thesis is approved. Again, we cannot emphasize this enough. Be very careful when you're submitting your thesis again to us. In many cases, we see candidates who spend unnecessary time making changes to things they either ignored when we identified them, or they even created new problems. So we certainly want you to avoid that. As far as publication of your thesis, once we do approve it, your document will appear online through ProQuest approximately 5 to 6 months after commencement. Its actual appearance in the ePubs library's database will take a bit longer, though. The reason for this is because we cannot send your thesis forward for publication until we get final audit confirmation from student records that you have actually met all requirements for graduation, paid your fees, so on and so forth. Once we can confirm that you have actually met all requirements for graduation, we will then send your thesis up for publication. The amount of time that ProQuest actually needs to process your document varies a bit, but we usually say somewhere between 12 and 16 weeks. This gives them enough time to make all necessary actions at their level. Please note that ProQuest usually processes approximately 80,000 theses and dissertations a year, so you do need to give them enough time to do their work. Post-deposit edits. If you do have a problem that you've identified after you have made a final deposit and you wish to change it, the graduate school now does allow you to make those changes, or at least request them. If you do find a problem, then we will send you a Graduate School Form 37, which is a request for post facto change. You must have it signed and approved by appropriate individuals in your department. Give the form back to us, and then we will have a dean review it and hopefully approve it. But again, we do not guarantee approval. That's purely determined by the dean who reviews it. Please also note that you will be liable to pay a $200 late graduation fee as part of this process. However, you can appeal that fee if you think you have good enough justification, and that's done using the Graduate School Form 38, which you can find at the link shown on the screen. Please note that we do give you every opportunity to make changes right up to the time of your final deposit. So we say that if you're careful about what you're doing, if you're meticulous and think about what you're doing, then you should be able to avoid any request for post facto edit. Bound copies. As part of the electronic thesis deposit process, as a rule, we no longer need bound copies, or in other words, hard print copies. However, if you or your department do want them, then you are personally responsible for those, and you can obtain them through Boiler Copymaker and Printing Services. Also, ProQuest does offer an optional service where they can also provide print copies, but we encourage you to think more about going to Boiler Copymaker. The reason for this is because, again, due to processing times involved both at our level and at the ProQuest level, it may be easily 6 to 8 months before you receive your hard copies. So if you are in a hurry to get those, then again, we ask you to check out Boiler Copymaker. They provide a very nice product, have much quicker turnaround, and their prices are competitive. Contact information for Boiler Copymaker is shown on the screen. Another important factor as part of the submission process is using previously copyrighted material. If you are using someone else's copyrighted material, such as tables, figures, text, so on and so forth, that copyright holder must provide you tangible permission to do so in the form of an email, letter, contract, perhaps even something off a website. So make sure that you get these permissions in advance before you submit your thesis. The reason for this is because you must upload these permissions as supplemental PDF files when you submit your thesis. We must have this. Also, we have seen circumstances in which candidates have had to request permission to use their own material. The reason for this is they have signed over their copyright to another entity, for example, a publisher. So if you are in that situation, you will need to check with the publisher to see if you need to get permission to use your own material. The reason for all this is because if you do not attach appropriate permissions to your submission, when your submission does go up to ProQuest, they are going to check it. They have their own copyright checkers at their level. If they find that you have not gotten permission to use that material, they could do one of two things. They could either pull out the offending material out of your thesis, in which case you may have literally holes in your document, or they may not even publish it at all. Electronic thesis deposit, there are forms connected with this process, but note that when you submit your thesis to us, the only form that gets attached to the electronic thesis deposit is the new Graduate School Form 30. This was formerly called the ETD Form 9. We have since changed the number of the form to preclude confusion. Some candidates did get confused about the ETD Form 9 as opposed to the Graduate School Form 9. They do have a similar appearance, but they have different functions. In the case of the Graduate School Form 30, please just type your committee members and department heads' names on the form. Then you can print it, scan it, and attach it to your thesis. Please do not include the Graduate School Form 32 with your ETD submission or with any other copy of your thesis. You can just hand that in at your final deposit appointment. The reason for this is because the Graduate School Form 32 does have your Purdue University ID number on it, and we do not want to share that with the rest of the world for obvious reasons. Also, the publication delay info that you give ProQuest must match the info you state on your Graduate School Form 32. So make sure that whatever, for example, if you want a 1-year delay of publication and you indicate that during your electronic submission, Make sure this is also reflected on your grad school Form 32, and of course, make sure that your major professor signs off on it as well. Also, please don't confuse confidentiality with delay of publication. We'll discuss this in more detail, but confidentiality is a Purdue program, whereas delay of publication is a ProQuest program. Again, there are delays involved, but they have different purposes, and the procedures for them are different as well. If you're unsure about which particular program you want, then you're certainly welcome to talk to your major professor, or you can contact us as well. Also note that with confidentiality and delay publication, you can use one program, you can use the other, or you can even use both. But again, there are different procedures involved in requesting these. This is the Graduate School Form 30 that we were just talking about. It's formally called the ETD Form 9. We have since posted this on our website, but this is how it will basically look. So, using your signed Graduate School Form 9 as a guide, type the names of your committee members and department head on the appropriate lines. Then you can go ahead, print it, scan it as a PDF, and attach it to the front of your thesis as a cover page. Note that it does go before your title page. And again, no other form should be attached to your electronic thesis. In other words, don't include your Graduate School Form 32.